ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another thing where I talk about things. Today, with Alan, standing up this time, so I'm actually standing closer to the camera because Alan is like a head taller than I am.
It's true.
So we're using a little bit of forced perspective so that we don't have to adjust the camera very much in spite of me being short.
Right.
Yes, but anyway though, so today we were commissioned to do a video about comedy. If somebody was interested well, they wanted us to teach, but unfortunately we're basically like hobbyists, so
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do instead, we're gonna talk a bit about what we do and why we like what we do, and but Alan actually he does stand up.
I do. That is the thing that I do.
Yeah, he's done paid gigs. He has done comedy for the Johnson & Johnson CEOs, was it?
No, that wasn't me doing comedy for them. They were at my night job, the security job. They were having like some function there, and I was just talking with some of their executives.
Okay. Yes. So there's some funny stories.
That's different.
Okay. That wasn't even. All right, never mind. That wasn't even stand up. Yeah, but Alan has done some comedy gigs. He's been around some of the local stuff, and you're planning on traveling, actually. So.
Yeah. Early fall, me and a friend might be look to be going on a tour. I think Chicago is the only interesting place we're going. Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Kenza will be there, actually.
Nice.
Actually, yeah, we're gonna say it with Kenza. Yes, Kenza's also coming in. She's gonna be here next week. She will be. I think she'll come in like on Saturday though, so she won't be in that week's personal time. But she'll probably be happy to do a video with us. Maybe we'll do an hour with Kenza. I don't know.
Cool.
We'll see. Yeah. We will check. We'll see what Kenza wants to do. I probably will not be able to get as many videos on. I'm gonna try. I've been trying to, but as it is, it appears that I am doing about as many videos as I can muster in a week. So I have not really gotten very much ahead of anything. But in any case, though, yes. So comedy.
Yeah, comedy. The obvious route is that most comedy comes from personal experience. Most of my stand-up is pretty much in exaggerations of things that have actually happened to me. A lot of the Alan Hour comes from random crap me and Greg will be talking about, or things that happen around the apartment. Just exaggerated, really.
Yes. Things that we actually do that could lead to suffering if we did them in excess.
Yes. One time we had a conversation about how I was afraid of puppets.
Yes, and that's how Rupert was born.
Yeah. Greg's kind of a dick.
Yes. I was like, you know what would be fun? I made a horrible puppet. So yeah, but you know they say exposure to things that you're afraid of is the best way to.
It's true. It's true.
Yes, to defeat those fears. So I did a kindness disguised as an evil.
Sure.
Yes. Right. No. You've got a lot of stories. You've got a lot of good bits. You got one about dating and whatnot. But one thing that we were going to say is that the whole idea with comedy is it all depends on who you are and what it is that you plan to do. I mean, some people are really deadpan, and so you have to roll with that because you're obviously not going to sell the audience by being really expressive. Some people are really very expressive, and of course they can use that. I know Eddie Izzard does a lot of pantomime and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's got a style called...
His style is very much like planned improvisation. It's like it's structured in a way that seems like it's kind of all made up on the fly, but he goes in with a game plan. He knows what he's doing. It's kind of interesting. I have a kind of a structure when I do stand up, but like sometimes if my brain's dead, I have to go off of a list. But yeah,
I've actually seen Alan's comedy lists. Before he goes on set, he'll write out a list. Remember, he brings them home every now and then, and sometimes they'll be like.
Sometimes if I'm doing a set longer than like 10 minutes, I'll like just write down the names of my bits, just so I don't forget anything. So, yeah, Greg's happened upon like my random scramblings of half-formed ideas that are just like a list of kind of horrifying words.
Written over other stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I had, I went to one gig where I was expecting to only get like 7 minutes, and they're like, we're gonna give you like 30. Because not enough comedians showed up, and I was like, oh. So I like found a bus schedule and wrote my whole set over a bus schedule. So it was, yeah, that just looks like the scribblings of a madman.
Yes. But anyway, though, as far as how to put this kind of stuff together, there's a lot of different styles, a lot of different things. I've seen people who actually have made, like, professional livings delivering one-liners.
Yeah.
And that's just, like, madness. I cannot even... Can you imagine, like, sitting at home and, like, writing out, like, an hour's worth of one-liners to deliver to people on television? Like...
No, it's, one-liner comedy, there are some people who are really good at it. Mitch Hedberg was really good at one-liner comedy. A local guy who I've done a few shows with, Aaron Naylor, is super good at it. But yeah, one-liner comedy is, as a comedy writer, that's really hard because there's not many one-liners that haven't been written, it feels like.
And there's also surrealist humor.
Yeah, surrealist humor.
Alan was telling me about a guy with the shaving cream.
Alright, I was at an not an improv show. It wasn't an improv show. I was at a show, it was an open mic show. That's the word I was looking for. And, this open mic show, anyone could sign up. And there's an old Patton Oswalt bit that open mics attract one of two people. One is people who are kind of just starting out, who are kind of looking for a voice, trying to figure everything out so they can become the next comedy superstar. And the second group is crazy people. So we had a night at open mic. This guy got on stage. He was an older gentleman.
Apparently had been there every night.
He was there every open mic. Bald. He was like overweight here, but his like arms and legs were really skinny. And he got on the stage. He put on goggles. So already some like warning signs were going off. He laid out 2 beach towels on the stage. He brought up these 2 huge bags with him when he got on stage. So he laid out these 2 huge beach towels. And once those were fully laid out, then he took out the shaving cream. Yes, he took out the shaving cream then. 2 full cans of shaving cream. And sprayed the contents of the shaving cream cans onto the top of his head. Sometimes getting it on the top of his head, sometimes he was just like spraying it off in random directions, but with the goal of trying to get it on the top of his head. So he empties both cans of shaving cream. Shans of caving cream. And then he opens up a new pack of razors. And he doesn't like shave the top of his head, he's just flinging shaving cream around with the razors. He only had 4 minutes to the set, and he did this for the whole 4 minutes. So they gave him the light to get off stage, and he just looked up and says, I guess it's time to clean up my act. And then he cleaned up the mess he made. Sort of. There was still shaving cream on the stage when I got up there. But I was left in the audience wondering, like, now is what I just saw brilliant? And before I could complete the thought, a friend who was with me like, yeah, that guy is here every week, he's a crackhead. I was like, oh, okay. He's a crackhead.
Yes. So you can do comedy that way too, if you like.
Yeah, that's another thing you could do. Crack.
Yeah, you could do crack, and then a lot of really bad ideas would seem really good,
Yeah.
and then you'd go up on stage
and you just
do it
wouldn't
for
care.
People. Yeah, it wouldn't matter. So yes, though. More realistically, though, for what we do, like I do a lot more satire and stuff like that. Like we make parodies, satire, things like that. I like a lot of fridge logic, which is as they explain it on the internet. Fridge logic is when you're like thinking about something, like you just watched a show and the show is over and you think to yourself like, that was a pretty good show, and so you get up and you walk to the fridge, you open up the fridge and you think to yourself, wait a minute, you know, if the ponies are this, the ponies are that. I don't know, it's a good one. Goodness, I don't know. What's something from recent? We just made fun of the fashion episode. Okay, goodness,
yeah.
If the ponies have a fashion industry, then surely they have a ruthless fashion industry, like so. Or Twilight. Whatever the case. The point is, you begin to overanalyze a lot of stupid stuff that happens in the show that you saw, or in the thing. Like you do this with politics, you can do this with anything. Anything can be subjected to a certain amount of fridge logic.
This is pretty much what the entire internet is now.
Yeah, just a lot of fridge. The fridge logic is really popular because in every form of media, like every single script that you write, you're really only like. Usually, it's only like one fallible person who's writing the script. And they can't think about every subtle nuance of the world that they're writing about. But 100,000 people at home who are watching the show every day certainly can. So people pick up on the little things that they forget, or like you write an episode that has a cop in it, and the cop does a lot of things that cops at home know shouldn't be done. And so you wind up with fridge logic. It's fun, but that's what I like to do. And then also, of course, satire. And satire is one of those it's a little bit strange because sometimes, as the saying goes, anyone who gets their jollies by acting like stupid people will eventually find themselves surrounded by stupid people who believe they're in good company. And I've done this. I don't have this problem with our stuff that we do on the internet so much, but I've done this like while browsing 4chan. You get people who will do things. They'll show up and they'll be like racist, but like legitimately racist, not like. Casually fun, like, ha ha ha, let's make jokes about race. But, like, they'll get up there and they'll be like, do you know what's the problem with everything in the world right now, today? It's non-white people. Or, and really it's mostly just that I see from...
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know what it is. I understand that there's websites that they organize on.
So it's damn green people.
Damn green people. Well, it's really everyone, except for the Asians that they drag on, like, just non-stop. And so, I was once in one of those threads where it was talking about, I can't remember what it was. It was almost like the minimum wage. And they're like, you know what the problem is with the minimum wage right now? Black people. And it's one of those things that almost just, like, when you hear it enough, because it pops up too often on 4chan, like, it's one of those things, like, I almost just want to, like, it wouldn't be funny, but it's like one of those things, like, what if I just called, like, DeMarcus at home? Like, he's the black guy that I know, and I was like, DeMarcus, like, why are you messing up the economy, man? What are you doing? And DeMarcus is like, the reason it's funny, he's like the nicest guy we know.
I can't remember who it was, but you may have been in the Skype, it was a Dawn Somewhere Skype chat. Someone just, like, popped up and said the N-word, and I decided to screw with him, so I was just like, DeMarcus is sitting right next to me and we're on the computer.
And he is just living.
He is super mad.
He's just
it got really uncomfortable and I was laughing the whole time.
Real quick. But DeMarcus is like one of the nicest guys we know. Yeah. And so it is one of those things, like, people are like, black people are doing everything. Just like, DeMarcus again? Man.
DeMarcus, who I describe in my stand-up comedy as the one black person I know. Which is not true, but jokes.
See, but that's the trouble, though, with satire, is that if you get people and they're, like, legit racist or something like that, and you want to make fun of them by calling up, like, one of the nice, like, you call up one of the nicest people that you know, and he happens to be black, and you're like, man, stop messing with the economy. Then, like, the trouble with satire is, although... Like, there are people who will get it. There are people who know that, like, DeMarcus is a really nice guy, and that, and they would laugh, and because everybody knows that DeMarcus, like, I really, it just kind of, it amuses me to even really imagine him as being, like, the source of so many problems. But people who know DeMarcus would laugh, but people who are really into it, who are, like, actually racist and really do think that black people are the cause, they wouldn't get the joke. They would think that it's serious, and so it would be one of those things, and they would look for... They feel like they're in support. So satire is strange. It's used oftentimes in politics, because people won't want to say things about other people they disagree with. but they don't want to get singled out as being a dissenter. So they use satire to kind of get away with it, because the things that they say, it could be like, well, are they really racist? Or, I mean, like, that's the nicest black guy that they know. I mean, surely not every black guy is causing trouble, but...
Yeah.
But, you know, and so you get this sort of thing. It's like where the people who hold opinions that you disagree with can't figure out if you're making fun of them or if you're agreeing with them. And if your satire styles are good, you're making fun of them. So, satire.
So that's two suburban-raised white boys' opinion on it.
Yes, right. No, well, you get into things. There are people who believe that, like I said, this is why some people don't like satire as a form of comedy, though, is because they do get into that. It's like, well, if you make fun of racists by pretending to be racist, you're really just kind of supporting the people who are legitimately racist because they don't realize that you're making fun of them. They think you're supporting them.
And that's really only if your satire is almost too good. Like, Starship Troopers is a good example.
Yeah, where the guy who wrote Starship Troopers.
The guy who wrote Starship Troopers
hated the book.
Hated the book and wrote the film as an anti-military film, which you almost have to be told that if you're going into the film to really understand that.
If you know it going in.
If you know it going in, it makes perfect sense.
It is a campy B movie on purpose, and it's a perfectly fine movie.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's a great bad movie.
But if you don't know that though, then it just really seems like
jingoistic military bullshit, essentially. But dude wrote RoboCop. I mean, that's as much social commentary as anything. Dude's supposed to be Robot Jesus. Spoiler.
Yes. Yeah, that happens a lot though. I think I've heard about that with when they get into stuff like, oh, I can't remember. The movies that they do where they have like, this is a rich guy and he's like evil and he's kind of destroyed by his own success. They do movies like that where the person like lives their really happy life, but they're eventually kind of destroyed by, like it eventually blows up in their face. But they find out that that a lot of people who go on to be like really sleazy like criminals, that's like, well, whatever inspired, and they really like those. They really like those.
There's a lot of actually really dumb movies that had really good satirical ideas that they didn't use well enough. Did you ever see The Purge?
I heard about that one.
Yeah, that's kind of a smart idea for a satire, but they played it completely straight, and it just wasn't good.
If you're too blunt with it, the trouble is that if you're too blunt with satire, then everyone sees it's a satire. So this is always the trouble with satire comedies, that you can never be totally straight about what it is that you're trying to tell people. Yeah, and so you never really get out of that whole, like, am I supporting the people I disagree with, or am I supporting this other side? And nobody ever really knows for sure. It becomes... Really, the best thing that satire can do, I guess, is just get people to talk about the different perspectives of whatever it is you're making comedy of, making light of. So, I don't know. But that is what I do more than anything. Is what we do. Yeah.
My whole thing is personal experience. When I do sketch work, it's personal experience mixed with like a lot of absurdism. I'm a big fan of like Monty Python and Gilbert and Sullivan, Hyde and Laurie. I kind of took a lot of inspiration from that. Mr. Show with Bob and David. That's kind of where all my sketch influence came from. A lot of absurdism. But yeah, that's really my humor. All my absurd shit goes on the Allen Hour now.
No, not all of it. There's some really good stuff. The Johnson & Johnson joke is one that cracks me up.
Yeah. I'll tell that one. I'll tell the backstory of that one too. Where I work, or I do security, is a nightclub, and like sometimes people from corporate events come there, and we'll have on the back of the board like, "Welcome so and so." So back of the board said, "Welcome Johnson & Johnson corporate office." So it was a bunch of like upper level corporate people from Johnson & Johnson. So I was talking to one of the executives, essentially, of Johnson & Johnson, and I was just talking to him, and I told him I was a comedian, and he just kept telling me dirty joke after dirty joke after dirty joke, so I was like, oh, he seems cool. So I tell him, well, just so you know, that Johnson & Johnson no tears stuff is bullshit. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I've been jerking off with it for a few weeks now, and I'm still, like, crying the whole time. And he laughed so hard he couldn't breathe. I figured I had something there. I've been doing that line in my act ever since. It's like the only one-liner I do. But yeah, I love that joke.
Yes.
It's very rare I love any of my jokes, but I do really love that one.
Yes. So, good times. But anyway, though, as far as actually doing this kind of thing, like I say, that there's really no, I don't know of any best way to do it, because we're kind of just like I said, skilled hobbyists, you could say. And so if we were to like say, here's what you should do and here's what you shouldn't, we'd probably teach you terrible habits. And we don't want to do that. But I will say, for my own opinion, I feel like it's a good idea. If you really want to do comedy, then it's important to read a lot. And you don't have to necessarily, read things that you like. You don't necessarily have to read things that, like you don't have to keep up with certain kinds of politics if you don't like. But I watch the news, or I read the news a lot. I don't watch the news, actually. I just read the news. I read a bunch of different articles. From a bunch of different sources. I go and I look at just about anyone who will read anything. The ones that I try to avoid, more or less, like, there are really opinionated news sources, and I kind of try to avoid them because they don't paint a very clear picture of things that are going on. I kind of just like to try and figure out what in the heck is happening, and then usually a good way to apply logic to things is to always sort of like understand that people are basically just chimps. They're basically just monkeys. And then that way, the whole world becomes a lot simpler when you start to think about, like, why would they do this, why would they do that? Oh, because they're kind of like dumb monkeys, basically, and everyone just sort of makes their own decisions independently. And there's nothing magical or special about anyone in charge. Me or Alan could probably run the country, and you wouldn't notice anything different about about the way the country is going right now.
There'd be more gummy bears.
There would be more gummy bears, yeah. But we would still have a congressional deadlock. We would still be facing impeachment, or President Obama's not to that yet, but apparently they're trying to push for it. They got the lawsuit. They approved that recently.
Woo.
Yeah. So if you think of everyone as just being like monkeys, like chimps, and they've all got their own, like, it's all banana politics. It makes the whole world just makes a whole lot more sense. It becomes a little bit more funny, and at the same time a lot more sad. And there are times that I wonder. I feel like some people in high positions probably are aware of that sort of thing. They're kind of like a little bit more grounded and down to earth about it, but I feel like a lot of them really aren't. And
yeah. My advice, and it's mostly for stand-up, but I think it applies to any kind of comedy. Just keep doing it. Don't stop. Don't ever stop. In the case of stand-up, you're going to suck for a few months. You're going to suck really bad for a few months. But just keep at it.
Nervousness and jitters.
Yeah.
That's what you got to think about.
Yeah.
That's one thing. When I first started sitting in front of the camera, it was kind of nerve-wracking at first. I remember I did a good several takes the first time I ever sat down and started doing stuff in front of the camera.
Most comedians say, as far as stand-up goes, it's about 5 or 6 years before you actually find your voice. It's strange, but I hear it's really true in a lot of cases. But
yeah, it's probably because it takes so long. It just takes so long to really adjust to being up in front of people.
Right.
Because that's the main thing, is that people will be critical of you. And some people are really fearful of that. Like, they'll go out there and that's one thing actually that was really great. When I first started doing the pony parodies, I was really clear about it. I was like, oh yeah, I will suck, ladies and gentlemen. I think I put that in the credits. I was like, yes, I have no idea what I'm doing. Please tell me what I'm doing wrong so that I will not do it twice. And as an amateur, there's a lot of stuff you'll find that other people, like, you can't observe yourself. You're not an outside observer to your own act. So if you're doing, like, work, you post it to the internet, you post, if you go out. If people, like, criticize you, then, and they will, because you're just starting out, yeah, that's really the best thing for you. And that'll be
It's good to be a stand-up in that situation, though. Because if you get a heckler, and you're an okay enough stand-up, you can like destroy their life.
You can let them be a part of the show if you want.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah. But you'll start off, it's like you go through like novice and then amateur. It's one of those things like there's several steps of anything that you do that's really kind of like that you don't have to be very skilled with starting off. Most people when they start on projects, you start off and it's like just totally novice. You really have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's wrong with anything until you've done it for a while, or people point out what's wrong. And then later on, you get to like you become an amateur, and you get what's referred to as like professional amateur syndrome or something like that, where you start to think, you start to get really confident. And you're like, I'm doing really good. I don't make any mistakes. And it turns out you make a ton of mistakes, just that you can't see them, but everyone who's been doing it for like 5-10 years is just like, oh yeah, that guy's making just rookie mistake after rookie mistake. He'll never get ahead until he gets past that. So that's why I say I've been doing this for long enough to recognize like there's times when I see stuff and it just blows me away, and I'm like, oof, nowhere near that. But we do, like I say, skilled hobbyist level, and that is what we can provide insight to.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. So I don't know. Do you have any other stories about just interesting styles or things? Do other people prepare for stuff in ways that are?
One time, we were playing F Your Neighbor. F Your Neighbor's a fun game. Usually how we play F Your Neighbor, I hang out with a lot of the same comedians all the time, and we all kind of know each other in the area. And, so we learn each other's acts. So we play a game called F Your Neighbor, where you look at the list of all the comedians going up, and if it's just like comedians in the audience and not a lot of actual audience members, you'll just try and do the next guy's act verbatim. One guy, I think his name was Zach, was doing the next guy's act, but he decided he wanted to take F Your Neighbor to a whole new level, and just started getting completely naked on stage. He stripped down to his boxer briefs and kept going with the act. And finally, in the end, he turned around and bowed and just pulled off his underwear. And I don't think he's allowed in that comedy club anymore, but he got a standing ovation.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, pro tips, you can get naked.
Yeah. You might get banned, but you can get naked.
That is what you learned from us on Personal Time today.
It's also the same night I went before my friend and copied his stand-up act and told the audience how black I was, because that was a big part of his stand-up act.
It's hard to do race comedy when you're the wrong race.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah.
Specifically, one of the lines from the show is, don't know if you can tell, but I'm black as hell. And everyone was very confused.
The audience is not in on this whole thing.
Yeah. Because, by the time we got started, we were like, oh, no one's in the audience. And then people showed up, but we made the commitment to not stop.
It's too late. But that too could be thought of as a type of criticism, in a way. If someone could actually really just nail your act and repeat it really well, it would be like basically getting to watch your own act, except delivered by another person as they see it. So, yeah, so that kind of thing. So I don't know. Just as far as from going novice to skilled, whatever.
We'll let you know when that happens.
Yes, we'll let you know when. I don't know. Skilled. Yeah. We're already skilled hobbyists.
We'll do another comedy video once we're better at this.
Yeah, when we're making lots and lots of money and people are
once we're kind of making the transition into doing this for a living.
Yeah, we'll look back and we'll look at this video and be like, oh man, we gave such terrible advice and such an awful perspective on the whole thing. So
Zach's mad. I told that story about him naked.
Yeah. Should have. Well,
Yeah, we shouldn't have done that.
shouldn't have done that. No. But anyway, I guess that is it for today. Hopefully, still just kind of insightful, sort of interesting. I'll look into. I guess if you ever wondered about people who do, I don't know. There's
I don't know what that word you were just trying to say was.
Yes, well, I don't know. I sort of trailed off. If you were wondering about what we
We're
talked
talking
about,
about common food.
if you were wondering about the thing that we, yeah, if you were wondering about the thing we specifically talked about today, whatever it may have been, we hope that you found this enlightening. I suppose that's it for today. We will catch you later.